Welcome back to the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And I love to connect the dots wherever possible between our business listeners and opportunities to serve. And our next guest really lives the motto of "We all serve." I'm thrilled to be joined by Mike Holub, who is the vice chair of the Illinois ESGR committee. ESGR is the Employer Support for the Garden Reserve, where I am a proud volunteer, the proud director of employer outreach. Mike, welcome to the program.
Great. Thanks. Glad to be here with you guys today.
Oh, it's great to have you, Mike. Let's talk about why you serve.
I was an employer back in about 2003 when I had about 5 of my employees who I was a police chief. I had 5 officers who were in a guard or reserve unit. 3 of them got deployed all at the same time, but essentially I wanted to make sure that I was doing the correct thing, not only under the Illinois statutes, but more importantly under the USERRA, the federal act. And so I reached out to some ESGR people to make sure that I was doing it correctly and to get some guidance from them. It wasn't long after that they took me on one of their employer outreach trips and leaned on me heavily to get me to join. And it was one of the best decisions I've made. Since that time, I've been involved continuously with ESGR.
So you've been on both sides of it, which is incredible. So you have a firsthand view of visiting with military units, those that serve, like myself, right, in the Guard and Reserve, as well as seeing employers. You were one of those employers. So let's demystify the ESGR again, the Employer Support for the Guard and Reserve, and what kind of work is being done here in the state of Illinois.
Well, ESGR is an office of the Department of Defense under the Assistant Secretary, and every state and 4 territories have a committee for it. So we're headed up by a chair. I serve as her vice chair. But what we do is employer outreach, where we try and educate employers on their obligation and their burden, as well as their expectations for their service members. And we also do military outreach, where we will on a regular basis and continuing basis brief them on their obligations to their employer and their rights under the federal act. Got to let them go, got to let them come back, those type of things. And we also do an education program wherever we can, whether that's, like for me, I would often go to a Chiefs conference, and I always took the opportunity to mention ESGR there to make sure there were no hurdles or bumps in the road for service members if they do get deployed.
And just from the very proactive standpoint, and sort of, Mike, I know you're retired as a police chief, but I want to pick your brain on this, because a lot of folks don't understand what it means to be a citizen soldier, what it means to serve in the National Guard and the Reserve. And I believe you've discovered, you and I have talked offline about the tremendous values that in the leadership qualities that come from those that serve in the military, in the National Guard, in the reserves of whatever branch. Can you talk a little bit about that and what benefits employers across the state of Illinois are telling you when you come out and visit with them regarding why they love to hire those that serve?
Well, they bring a skill set that includes being able to take direction, being part of a team, knowing how to complete a task or a mission, being self-starters, self-motivated. And those are traits that I don't know an employer who isn't looking for those type of traits. And I will say that in the past 12 years or so, there has been an uptick of employers who are actively seeking those people who serve in the military. And not to throw anybody under the bus, but my first couple of years in ESGR, I often would run into people that say, how do we avoid hiring those folks? So it was a matter of education when we would not only tell them that it was forbidden by the federal act, but what an advantage they had in hiring someone who was a guard or reservist, that they bring that additional skill set and those additional work traits and ethic with them to their civilian job.
I'm chatting with Mike Holub, the vice chair of the Illinois ESGR, who brings, again, a very, very unique perspective now, serving as the vice chair. And I'm a volunteer together with Mike, and the volunteering side is really, really just an awesome experience. To have the opportunity. It's been interesting in COVID. We haven't been doing much traveling, but we have been innovative in recognizing employers that go above and beyond, as well as collecting statements of support. In our very, very brief minute remaining, can you tell us a little bit about the volunteer experience and what opportunities those that might be tuning in might have to get involved?
Well, we seek to get employers to sign that statement of support that you mentioned as a way for them to publicly declare their support for those who do serve in the Guard and Reserve. As far as the volunteer thing, we're kind of all like Michael Jordan in that we do it for the love of the game. We're doing it for the right reasons. We're not getting paid for it. A lot of us are veterans. I'm an Army veteran myself, a Vietnam era veteran. Last of the draftees, only lottery I ever won, by the way. But we do it because, we really feel the need to make sure that employers are treating each other or treating their employees who are in the Guard or Reserve correctly and vice versa. Opportunities, we're always looking for volunteers. We are broken into sections throughout the state, each headed up by a little area chair. And we have opportunities to include everything from making those award presentations for outstanding employers to making briefings to the military units that are.
Well, Mike, how can people find out how to get involved?
Well, they can go to esgr.mil and specifically look for the state of Illinois. There's a section that they can do and find their contacts in Illinois, or else, they can reach out to me, I guess, if you have the ability to share my
I sure will on the website. Mike Holub, Vice Chair of Illinois ESGR. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for talking about ESGR, and thanks for serving.
Thanks, Shalom.
Stop wasting